Good morning.
Good morning. I'm Arlin Briley. I live in St. Petersburg, and I appreciate your setting aside this time to allow our direct citizen input. I am the vice chair of the Democratic Party of Pinellas County, but I'm here in a strictly nonpartisan way. I'm here to introduce the initial report of the Election Reform Coalition of Pinellas County, and I want to urge you to take time when we present these to you. We do have copies today.
Good.
I'd like you to take time to look at it because this report represents the voice of the citizens of Pinellas County. And I know that sounds kind of heady, the voice of the people, but I can back it up. And I want to tell you how we got started. After the November 2004 election, in which people of all political stripes worked their hearts out to turn out a very good turnout of the vote, the outcome was very close, and a lot of people were disappointed. We know that had to be the case when it was so close. Then the stories began to take on a life of their own. Stories of voting machines seeming to default to a certain candidate, disagreement between the exit polls and the official results has made people suspicious. Ongoing debate about whether we can trust the voting machine companies, private corporations that declare their software proprietary. And we know that most people have put this behind them, but we saw something worrisome. We saw that people were entertaining the idea that the elections were rigged. They were entertaining the idea, talking about never voting again, that it wasn't worth it. Their vote probably didn't count anyway. And we view this as truly a threat to democracy. The rumors could not go unaddressed. So we needed to act in order to strengthen faith in that system, the same system that put you all here. If we can put those kinds of doubts behind us, every one of you will enjoy a more secure position sitting here, knowing that without any doubt, you won fair and square. But if we found problems, we were going to address the improvements needed. So to pull this off, we wanted to reach out to all the political parties and all of the community groups that have a mission related to voting elections, and we ended up with a coalition of the Democratic, Green, and Libertarian parties, as well as 14 groups such as the Alliance for Retired Americans and the Citizens for Fair Campaign Practices. And we brought these diverse groups together to hold public forums where the voters could tell us their concerns. With all these groups, and by analyzing hundreds of voter incident forms and official reports from the supervisor of elections, I can claim that this coalition represents easily 350,000 citizens of this county, and a lot of people have given us their direct input on what their concerns are about our elections practices. So when we came together, we resolved to have only one prior agenda, to listen to the people and to advance their concerns. And we do see improvement, and I'm going to yield the balance of my time in that spirit of cooperation to my colleague on the coalition, Mr. Gilson from the Libertarian Party.
Okay.
Thank you.
He also gets 3 minutes, so that's okay.
Great.
3 minutes. Thank you, Arlen.
May I present the...
Yes, you may. Yeah,
There's a executive summary, too.
Okay.
That's the full report. We'll start these the other way. The black and blue binders are the full report.
Okay.
The more colorful ones are the executive summary.
All right.
I hope I'm standing in the right place here.
Are you Michael?
Yes, sir.
Great.
Good morning, everyone. How's everyone today?
Good morning.
Good. My name is Mike Gilson. I'm the chairman of the Libertarian Party of Pinellas County. As most of you know, Libertarians have been a slowly growing political movement in the United States that has established a reputation for leading edge ideas from co-ops to privatization over the last 30 years. Here in the state of Florida, there are approximately 40 Libertarians in office throughout the state, ranging from myself, who is on the Homeschool Advisory Board here in Pinellas, to Dr. Randy Holcomb, who is the economic advisor to the governor. We're very pleased to be part of this coalition of the Democratic, the Green parties, community groups. Also, we have enjoyed the participation of many prominent Republicans in this coalition, such as Mr. Kirstein, who is a former city councilman in St. Petersburg. We held a series of hearings. We went in there without any preconceptions. We were looking not to attack people, but to attack any problems that we saw. The title of the report is Pinellas Elections Continual Improvement. And this is the spirit in which we approach the task, looking at the systems, looking for opportunities not only for immediate improvement, but for continual improvement over time. Some of the things that people told us involved concerns that there was a use of voting machines with no auditability or paper trail. There was an inequitable distribution of the voting machines, creating long lines. There were opportunities as far as long lines and poor service. There were questions about voting machine errors. There were questions about intimidation of instances of intimidation of voters. There was a concern about a neutral setting of the polling places. Also, we looked at some of the long-term things that people brought to our attention. These included the need over the long term to look at preserving primary runoffs, to look at piloting instant runoff voting here in Pinellas County, to look at directly supporting amendments, to have a nonpartisan board convene for redistricting where we have interface with the state, working on removing the impediments to voting of ex-felons, and promoting a referendum process, and also the renewal of the Federal Voting Rights Act, which doesn't seem to be on anybody's radar these days except ours. I think one of the important things that we saw in this coalition is we had people spending time talking not about what we disagreed on, but on the areas where we did agree and where we could work together, and soliciting in that spirit the input and the ideas of the public. One of the key things that we put forth in the report is the need for a citizen advisory board, which includes members of the political parties that have heavy participation in the process, such as the Republican, the Democratic, of course, the Libertarian and the Green parties, and basically whoever shows up at elections and put forth candidates, along with the key community leaders, such as we've seen in Volusia County and other parts across Florida. I hope you will enjoy the report. We have plenty of interesting information at our website, which is at ercpinellas.org, and we hope this is the beginning of a continual engagement with the Commission. Thank you, and I am at your disposal for questions.
Mike, did you share this information with Deborah Clark already, or were we the first ones?
We are looking to put together a meeting. We have been in contact, cooperative contact with the people over at SOE, particularly Mike Greenberg over there.
Okay, because I know, just reading this real quick, there's some concerns that the voters had that I know that her office addresses on a daily basis. And
no one's saying that they've been asleep at the switch.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then other issues, too, that you're concerned with, like runoff voting, those are state issues that you need to talk to your legislators.
Where there may be interface that's involved. And we were looking at what the interface was, and these were the things that were brought to our attention.
Okay, cool. Any questions for Michael? Thank you. No. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much,
Thanks.
Commissioners.
Nice having you.
I hope you have a beautiful day. Thank you.
And next is Ed Helm. Ooh. I didn't realize that was you, Ed.
Sometimes I do Mark Twain, so yeah.
I can see that.
No, don't get me started, Mr. Moran. Yes, Miss LaValle, well known. But I'm semi-reformed, Miss
You need to
LaValle.
explain that.
Yeah.
He used
Well,
to
we
come
know he
to-
looks like him.
He used to come to school board meetings in costume.
Oh.
I shared a quote from Twain with the school board, which I won't share now, but it's was surprising to the school board. Let's put it that way.
Should he share it with us?
Another time.
Okay.
His time is
We haven't started your time yet.
Don't
but
encourage
thank
me
you.
too much.
Okay.
May it please the Commission, my name is Ed Helm. I am an attorney, but I'm retired, I'm happy to say. And so now I'm a citizen and an advocate. I represent Pinellas Progressives, and I am the co-chair of the St. Pete Pinellas Progressive Club. We have been a part of this coalition from the beginning. And we were a part because as we knocked on doors in recent elections, there was an incredible concern, and I'm talking about South St. Petersburg, where I live and where I was knocking on doors, of citizens trying to figure out how can we make our vote count. There was this elaborate calculus that I would be asked, and other canvassers and door knockers would be asked, well, should I vote absentee? Can I, would that improve my chances? Or should I do the early voting, or stories about, early voting problems? The message to share with the Commission is that there is a widespread concern among citizens that their vote either didn't count or they don't know how to make their vote count. I think the Commission is well aware that jurisdictions that have adopted the touchscreen are now reevaluating those decisions, including Miami, which is proposing to jettison over $24 million in equipment in favor of an OptiScan system which has a paper backup, a paper accountability, a way of recounting elections. I'm sure you're aware of Carolina, where one voting machine, didn't work, and they had to rerun a whole election statewide because the election was that close, and there was no backup to the electronics. I believe all of Ohio and New York, many jurisdictions, and it could well be that the feds are going to require that there be a paper backup system. And I think while we're still in the formative stages, this isn't a final report, this is an initial report, we're here as an introduction. I think that most of us who have studied this issue would have preferred you all to have gone the OptiScan route or reconsider that decision. We were at the St. Pete Times yesterday talking to members of the editorial board, and one of them opined that it's too bad that we didn't more carefully consider the OptiScan system originally when Pinellas was making its decision. Indeed, in fact, in reviewing the records, the public records of that decision, it seemed to reveal that the decision was made very early on, a week, as we understand it, after the original addressing to the commission, the opinion of Supervisor Clark that the OptiScan was out and the touchscreen was in. So I'm here just to say we would welcome your continuing involvement in this, including the final phase of this, which will be another public hearing composed of elected officials from around the county. We have 2 mayors, we have many members of the state legislature and city councils that we plan to do a final hearing to help finalize these recommendations, but we want to work with this commission to figure out a way to reassure voters that their vote counts.
Thank you, Ed. Commissioner Welch has a question.
Thanks, Ed, for your comments and your website. I went out there and took a look at that this morning. I think you raised several valid points. I'm more excited about, you talk about automatic rights restoration, about fair redistricting for competitive districts. I think that's very important. And I do think when we get to the point where we have a certified printer that works with our touchscreen machines, that we should move in that direction. As you know, we had quite a debate here when we were looking at it, and I was quite a strong proponent of optical scan precinct-based because it is highly accurate. But there were a lot of mitigating factors in terms of most large counties opting for touchscreen, and it's interesting that Miami-Dade is moving seemingly back towards
to you.
paper, but Orange County is moving towards a touchscreen. So there's no perfect system out there. I think what we really need to do, we can't implement a printer for our touchscreens that has to be certified by the Division of Elections.
Correct.
So I think that's where we need to concentrate our efforts. But I certainly think that the machines we have now do work, and I sat down with the programmers from Sequoia and went through programming election. If I didn't have faith in it, I would not have voted in it. So folks at home should know that their votes do count. I would remind everyone that we had paper in 2000, and some votes didn't count then. So paper is not a panacea. But I do think once we get to the point where we have certified printers, that I would certainly support us moving in that direction. Now, there will be a cost, and I hope everybody understands that we'll have to pay for those printers, probably through our general fund. But I appreciate your efforts.
Thank you, Commissioner Welch. We've looked at that too, and the cost scared us a little bit, but to be continued. We welcome our input to the commission as it addresses this, and I appreciate the comments of Commissioner Welch in terms of their ongoing interest in making it all work. So,
thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks very much.